So what happened? After months of will they, won't they, after endless boardroom posturing, and after Netflix strutted into this thing like the final boss of streaming, Netflix blinked. On February 26th, that was yesterday, Netflix officially declined to raise its offer for Warner Brothers Discovery. And just like that, Paramount Skydance becomes the frontrunner to buy the entire WBD empire. Warner Brothers, HBO, Max, DC, CNN, TNT, TBS, the whole messy buffet. And the best part, Netflix didn't lose a war. Netflix basically looked at the bill, saw the total, and went, yeah, I'm good. So today we're breaking down what Paramount offered that Netflix wouldn't match. Why is this a very different kind of takeover? What happens next, and why the aftermath could be a content bloodbath. So let's get into it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Critical Nerd. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you. Thank you for your support over the last couple of years since I embarked on this YouTube journey. And you already know the drill. We follow the money. We read the filings, and we do the math Hollywood PR teams pray you never do. And if you're new here, welcome. Stick around. Check this video out. While you're at it, hit subscribe, ring the bell, because this WBD bidding war isn't just another media story. This is a full-blown power shift, and it's going to impact what you watch, what get canceled, and how much Hollywood panics the next time a streaming giant shows up with a checkbook. Quick engagement ask. If you enjoyed this breakdown, tap like, share it, and comment with your prediction. Does Paramount actually close this, or does something blow up in the regulatory hell? All right, here's what just happened. February 26, 2026 is the day the saga officially snapped into place. Because this wasn't just a rumor or an insider leak. WBD's board formally declared Paramount Skydance's revised all-cash offer a company superior proposal. Let me translate this for you folks. Yeah, this is better. This wins, and contractually, we're obligated to treat it like the best deal on the table. That triggers the mandatory match window. The you can counter if you want period. But Netflix's response was basically immediate. Netflix comes out and says they're not raising the offer because matching Paramount's new valuation is no longer financially attractive. That's not tabloid spin. That's Netflix saying out loud, we're not paying that much for this thing. And by the way, this is not Netflix being defeated in some cinematic sense. This is Netflix doing what Netflix actually does best. They treat everything like a spreadsheet. And then the spreadsheet told them, this price is insane. So what was so insane about it? Let's break down the deal terms that basically dared Netflix to match. Here's Paramount Skydance's headline. $31 per share, all cash. That's the hook. But the real reason this became superior wasn't just the price, it was the protection. Paramount didn't just show up with a bigger number, they showed up with a bigger number and a pile of insurance policies. Sweetener number one, Paramount covers the Netflix breakup fee. WBD, Warner Brothers, had an existing merger agreement with Netflix. To exit that deal, WBD would owe Netflix about $2.8 billion. Paramount comes in and basically says, don't worry, we'll pay it. So from WBD's perspective, that's not just a better offer. That's a better offer with the exit door already paid for. Sweetener number two, a massive $7 billion regulatory termination fee. This is the we're serious flex. Paramount basically tells the WBD board, if regulators kill this, we pay you $7 billion. That's not normal. That's we want you to believe we can get this through Washington. And it's also a signal to Netflix because Netflix knows how ugly this could get politically. Paramount is basically saying, we've priced in the fight. Sweetener number three, the ticking fee. This is the stop dragging your feet clause. After September 30th of this year, Paramount's offer includes a ticking fee, a daily accrual equal to 25 cents per share per quarter until the deal closes. Meaning every day this takes longer, WBD shareholders get compensated. This creates pressure to close fast, and it also punishes delays. So when people ask, Why did Netflix step back? Because Netflix didn't just have to match $31 a share. Netflix would have to match the structure, the protections, the optics, and the political war chest. Netflix looked at it and went, yeah, we're not doing a $111 billion headache. Which brings us to the most important point. Netflix and Paramount were not trying to buy the same thing. This is where it gets spicy. Netflix's approach was selective. Netflix wanted the crown jewels, the stuff that makes streaming dominance even more dominant. You know, Warner Brothers Studio, HBO, the library, Max streaming infrastructure. But Netflix had little interest in holding the traditional linear cable networks long term. The idea was take the premium content, spin off the cable mess, which is honestly very Netflix. Netflix is allergic to anything that smells like a declining cable bundle. Paramount's offer is the opposite. Paramount Skydance is not doing a greatest hits album. They're doing a full takeover. They want 100% of the company. They want Warner Brothers, HBO Max, DC, and yes, CNN, TNT, TBS, the linear networks too. And this is where the board's thinking becomes obvious. A full takeover at $31 a share cash, with the breakup fee covered and $7 billion in regulatory schmuck insurance? That's the kind of package boards love. Because boards don't want interesting, boards want certainty, closing probability, and fewer shareholder lawsuits. And Paramount packaged this like it was designed by a corporate attorney who drinks espresso in fear. Now here's the bigger strategy takeaway. This is not just Paramount buys WBD. This is potentially a new mega studio meant to compete with Disney and Netflix still, Amazon, and whatever Frankenstein Comcast is building. So what does Paramount actually want out of this? Simple. They need scale. Paramount needs WBD more than Netflix does. Netflix said it themselves. It was nice to have, not a must have. For Paramount, well, this is a must have. Because without scale, Paramount is a sitting duck. With WBD, they become a monster. But here's the catch. You don't pay $31 a share cash, plus all this protection, without making that money back, and that's where we go next. Whenever you hear synergies, you should immediately translate it in your brain to layoffs. Because nobody does a mega merger to keep everything the same. They do it to cut redundancy, consolidate departments, and squeeze profit out of what's left. If Paramount closes this, think about the overlap. Multiple studios, multiple marketing departments, multiple streaming tech stacks, multiple sports rights divisions, overlapping news operations, overlapping corporate teams. That means cuts, and deep cuts. And content cuts too, because a full company takeover forces hard decisions. Which franchises get prioritized? Which shows get canceled? Which budgets get slashed? Which brands get merged, renamed, or buried? And yes, this will absolutely hit the streaming side. Because if Paramount ends up with Max and Paramount Plus in the same orbit, you don't keep running two expensive platforms forever. At some point, they consolidate. Or one becomes the app formerly known as whatever. So if you're creative right now inside either company, your career just entered, well, survival mode. And if you're a viewer, you're about to see a new era in content strategy. Less creative risk, more franchise certainty, more reboots, sequels, and IP mining, and fewer expensive experiments. And don't overlook sports. If Paramount and WBD end up combined, you're talking about a major sports portfolio under one umbrella. That is power. And it's also leverage in negotiations. But then comes the part everyone is pretending is easy. Regulators. The reason what Paramount had to add that $7 billion regulatory termination fee is because everyone knows this deal is going to get looked at like it's radioactive. This is massive consolidation, and both sides knew the question Washington will ask. Does this reduce competition in media, news, streaming, sports, production, and distribution? Paramount is basically saying, we're so confident we can get this through this that we'll pay you $7 billion if we can't. That's not just a sweetener, that's a signal. And that also tells you something else. They expect a fight. So the next phase is going to be lobbying, narrative warfare, and political theater. because this is one of those deals where the regulatory process becomes its own reality show. And Netflix is now sitting on the sidelines, collecting the breakup fee with their stock popping and pretending this was all part of the plan, which, to be fair, for Netflix, kind of is. So here's the scoreboard. WBD board calls Paramount's bid superior. Netflix refuses to match. Paramount becomes the frontrunner. The breakup fee gets handled. The ticking fee adds pressure to close, and the regulatory fight is the next big battlefield. But the real story is this. Netflix didn't lose. Netflix walked away from paying an absurd premium for assets they wanted, but didn't need. Paramount, on the other hand, is betting the company on this. They want scale, survival, dominance. And that means if Paramount closes this, Hollywood is about to enter the next consolidation era where everything becomes fewer companies, fewer green lights, fewer creative risks, and a lot more corporate control. Now, I want to hear from you guys out there. Do you think Paramount actually closes this deal? Or does regulatory pushback or financing pressure derail it and reopen the chaos? Drop your prediction in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, if you would, smash that like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, share this video out there with your friends and family. And as always, this has been The Critical Nerd, and I'll see you in the next one.